ebusia for me do bibia say no mo bibia kwa baso ko dia ben kasa TV so na any day de kan ahwe kasa TV odo for message also be subscribe be like no wa share me ma re invisible me odo ma no so e de bituma so nya bi ahwe eti me am ne kasa boyi ba be so mu ye wo so for dada o hina makwa musa for kantanka me na kasa bono esi me na so am de ba be so mu e amresi na me so do for waje wakonya e twen se sem ne kasa bon se be ka free kasa TV fide hu anom no e de ba so obo ano so nya bi ahwe eti ye mo hwe ne pa ko kasa boni ma na che se abusuafo Dr. Afari Gyan or joining the Electoral Commission Office, that is the EC, Mrs. Jean Mensah. Now, on my council, I am your man Peninda John Mahama, so best standing for the presidential race. I don't know, I will see how for young Kokunguti, 7 moon each moon, and near Basso, John Mahama, Yaman Peninda, on person come Tibum now, person, you know, a free presidential race in Nakoka, a young one waka. I will see how for young Kokuti, 7 moon chemu, I am Casati, so I'm not liking a share. Mama rem so be other man so the bit must when you be ahwe eti
party na say MPP party no e be break the 80 so a Muslim ni and just somebody be break the 80 no na ni na so fa yi na ye vice president Dr. Bawumia ho ama nsam no abe be break e wo omaga ne mu sisi an yi nim say NDC party no e na ye form President Mahama ono and just obey Obeba Vijina Ama NDC party na 2024 a woman. A man some no ababy. Sisi ano former President Mahama NHS Obefa a year Omaga na Aqua as a Hong said MPP party ene a ye na Vice President Dr. Bawumia NHS Obebreki the 8 Nama Omaga na Nyoma Aqua ye Sisi ano abayo who is who one eba Muslim form you know. And some no ababy a Omaga nemo. Na numo ina ye naming say a Afari Gyan or no and just say or share about to and Yama Becosonia de Bibiane Adeno, as she said Afari Gyan adding Sembi A to Javision for someone senior or Casa, senior then Sembi A to Jano and Yan Asaketwa will be enter some no ababy need Naja 2024 a woman in Lesha say the cost of a 7 December say a ma or Maga Nemo able to deny your politics and such as a man some no ababy into the other casual step aha a king to TV say and then no face that would ever came to TV shop and once of us Kawame no shot to other parts for normal comments comment section and more visitors will notification bells so let's say simply at the road when you be now when you or Magan and you see afternoon members meswa na general overcome when na menu million yonko pimu Afari Gyan ashare in same say or do to efa a year MPP NDC politics just a costo a wo Omaga nemo in same just almost come a politicians no more come omoba omuntumi fan yejuma and some no ayebebre medamase.
Based on this definition, voters come first, followed by political parties and candidates, and then the Electoral Commission in a ranking order of importance for the three main actors in a democratic election. I think the justification for this ranking is rather straightforward. There can be no election at all if there are no candidates. And an election cannot be said to be democratic if there are no voters to decide the winner. For this reason, the primacy of the voter and the attendant sanctity of the duly cast vote are regarded as central pillars of the principles of electoral justice. The ranking also underscores the need for political parties to be closely involved in the electoral process. In this regard, I think that the Electoral Commission must view the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, as a convenient forum for discussing changes to our electoral practices, irrespective of whether the intended change originates from the Commission or the parties. The reason is that it is not good practice to foist changes in electoral practices on important stakeholders like political parties. It is prudent to discuss any intended changes thoroughly at IPAC meetings with a view to achieving consensus. If consensus is achieved, the IPAC then becomes a convenient vehicle for disseminating the changes to the electorate. Let me say that during discussions at the IPAC, the Electoral Commission is not bound to accept the position even if it is supported by all the political parties. It's not a voting matter. How many parties do we have? On the books, maybe about 19. How many head? How many commissioners are there? Assuming that all of them go to the party. 7. If all of them, then it will be 19 to 7. No, it is not that kind of matter. And the reason why they are not bound to accept some decision, even if all the political parties support it, is that the political parties can take a stand which constitutes an obstacle to the realization of the electoral rights of the people. When that happens, it is the duty of the Electoral Commission to uphold and protect the rights and interests of the people. I'd like to give a very simple example. The political parties once wanted the Electoral Commission to make it mandatory for people to produce their voter ID cards on election day before they are allowed to vote. The Electoral Commission said no to this no card, no vote campaign, explaining that it is the Constitution and not the card that creates the right to vote. The card makes it easy to identify you as a registered voter. So, on election day, if your name is on the register, which is the legal requirement, but you don't have from voter registration through voting operations to the collation of votes and the declaration of results. In doing so, it must pay particular attention to points where the election process is vulnerable to adulteration. I'm sure that the Electoral Commission is aware that most of the election controversies in recent times have centered on the counting and collation of votes. For this reason, I consider the setting up of regional collation centers in our presidential election to be a retrogressive step, because it increases the number of points at which results can be manipulated.